Hi, my name is Hafiz. This is a tutorial for AE Tuts. So I'll be explaining how to render out images from Maya and get it into After Effects, and how we can export the camera from Maya and locators from Maya into After Effects, and how we can merge these two applications to create some stunning graphics. So here we go. Hi, I've divided this tutorial into three parts actually. The first part I'll be explaining how to replace a small cube face which you make in Maya, get it back to After Effects, get the camera information here, and we replace one of the cube face with an image in After Effects. And then part 2 will be to export the Maya render which we're making for this billboard, export again the camera information, locator information, and the Luma channels. How do we export Luma channels using contribution maps in Maya, and how do we get back to After Effects, etc. So once we have this part 1 and part 2, then we'll go to part 3, where that will be the final part, where I'll finally we'll make the sequence what I'm showing here. Fine, thank you. Hi, so here is Maya right now. So the idea is to create a small box here in Maya, and we'll make a small animation and export it to After Effects and see how to do it basically. So right now I'm going to create a polygon rectangle. So I click on it, spacebar to expand it, just drawing a basic box, spacebar again, press 6, get the texturing. So now we need to make an animation here, so we go to rendering tab, create a camera, click on it, camera is created, so we go to panels, change this view to camera, just zoom out, set this basic thing. And so right now we're going to create a small animation. So go to the first frame, go to the camera, click on key, set the keyframe for the first frame, go to the last frame, just do a small pan and just say key again. That way we create this basic animation. Let's play it for you. So that's it, done. So we're gonna create this, right? So right now we need to render this out first. So for that we go to the render globals, render settings, and I'm rendering using Maya software, so that will be faster right now. So I'm just naming this file name as say TV box. Okay, it doesn't look like a TV box. Image format can be anything, so I'll just choose Targa, it's my favorite. So then I'll go to single frame, I'll just change to the animation sequences, and you have to give the start frame and end frame 60. So 1 to 60 frames will be outputted, and the file names will be given like this. So if it's because frame padding is 1, it starts with 1, it doesn't say 0, 1, etc. So I'll just make it 2, so it starts saying 0, 1. This is kind of important when you're actually rendering out bigger sequence, because some softwares actually need them to be in this order for importing, etc. You'll note later. So just make it 2, so that it will start from 0, 1 to 60, and you can. And frame range is set, and there's an renderable camera. We send to this camera, come down, and the image presets, and 640 by 480 is given. That's fine, but I'll probably want to change to HD 720. That's it. Close and go to render, hit batch render. Okay, so the animation has been rendered out, so that's fine. Now we get a sequence. So we must understand that the output rendered by Maya is fundamentally a 2D image. I hope we know that. Just wanted to hint that out. So done. So now the main thing to make sure that After Effects understands how to read the Maya files. So basically our idea, okay, let me go to the perspective view. So the idea is to actually get this coordinates here, this corner, so that we can replace that with an image in After Effects. For that we need a kind of null object here, or a locator, which will actually give you all the 3-dimensional information. So for that, how do you create? You go to create and click on locator, press W, and you can see a locator. Locator is nothing but like a null object in After Effects. So you got it. So you can actually place it properly in the corner. You can use any of the ortho views to set it. It's up, it's down, just setting it properly. Up, fine. I think this will do. Yeah, I think this will do. Right, so you have this null object here. This is what is going to be actually replaced by an image. Okay, so but before doing that, this name of this locator is called as locator 1. So when you export this out to After Effects will not recognize this as a null object unless it is renamed this way. So you go to window, outliner. So this locator has to be prefixed by the word null in small or in caps or in mixed format, whatever. So it has to be called as null in front. So I just call it as null underscore, I'll say screen1 done. So it's done. So we have and if you see the axis, this is X and this is Z and this is Y, which is exactly as After Effects, so we don't have to worry about anything. So that's it, we have done actually. So I will save this file as to AE test. It's done. So now before exporting out, there's one last thing you need to do. If you realize, if you go to the camera settings, this animation is there, but there are no keyframe informations in between the first frame and the last frame. So what we need to do is create keyframes for each of these frame information so that After Effects will understand how to animate it. So to do that, it's pretty simple in Maya. So go to Window, click on Outliner, click on the camera, then go to Edit, Keys, and say Bake Simulation. So Bake Simulation will fundamentally add keyframes for all these frames. So what I'll do is I'll select the camera and this null screen and go to Edit, Keys, Bake Simulation. So it actually baked the simulation, and if you see here red lines here, it means each frame is a keyframe right now. So it has all the information. So now make sure you go to File and save it, because whatever baked information came out actually doesn't get saved in that Maya file. If you see, this Maya file is there. That's it, we have done, I think, most part in Maya. So now let's go to After Effects and where we can do some magic. Okay, here we are in After Effects. Great place to be in. Yeah. So right now, first thing will be to import the composition. So import the Maya file. So double click here, and any of you go to that your directory. Okay, so this is what I saved it as to AE test, and if you see this composition crop, just say open, and once you open, my After Effects creates a composition of the name of the same file. So to AE test, and you can see it's 1280 and 720 square pixels. That's what we created. It's 2 seconds and 24 frames per second. So double click on it, you get it here. This is what you get, the output. This is just the Maya file, which has basically the camera information and the null object information. So if you press U in the camera, so you can see all this information here, the camera information. All this data came after that baking. So if you're not done the baking, probably you have just got the first frame. So now we got it here, and we have a null object here. If you can press U, and you can see the null objects information here. Great. So now it's going to be pretty simple. Now we import the image now. This is what we exported out. Click on TV box, target sequence, say open, fine. You get this and drag and drop it here. That's it, you got it. So we have this box and we have this null object with null, which is like so big. So what we can do is just click on S, and you know what, actually speaking, if you press U, you get all this keyframe information, and if you notice, none of the values change for null. That's because it's already oriented towards that camera for the first time, and basically it doesn't need to change because the camera is actually moving and not this null object. So we can get rid of all this keyframe information, so it will just align properly. If you see this, that's one small clip there, and just press S and scale it down. We'll scale it to say 4 or something, or just whatever. You can size it here also. Great, now we have it exactly framed again. We can just move the animation and see it's exactly sitting in place. Okay, so right now you can just go in and import an image, say some image, and you can replace this null object with this image. So what you have to do is press an Alt, click, drag and drop it here. It drops it here, but we're not able to see anything because if you press opacity T is 0, you have to make it 100, and the size is too big. Press S and get it down, and we can just position it however we like it. That's it, done. You can just do a RAM preview. Here we are, done. The box was created in Maya. This image is created in After Effects and we have done this. Sounds cool. Okay, so I just want to tell you something here which are pitfalls, which I found out after some research. So right now everything worked because all the frame settings, everything were right, but how was it right? You need to know that. So when we imported this Maya file, it created, After Effects created a composition, and when you click on this composition, if you see this information area, it shows you 24 frames per second. So how did After Effects know that this is 24 frames per second unless it is contained in this Maya file? So probably Maya has set this to 24 frames per second. So how does Maya do that? Let's go to Maya. So if you go to Window, Settings and Preference, you'll get this preference screen, and there is this thing called Settings here, and if you see here, it's set here 24 frames per second. So basically you can change what frames you want here. So that's the main thing. So this is how 24 frames came there, and that is how it's here. And then a general problem what happens is okay, let's see this render which came out from Maya, and when you click on this, and you can see it's 24 frames per second. So how did After Effects know that this is 24 frames per second and not 30 frames per second or whatever? So actually After Effects has option, go to Edit, Preference, and if you go to the Import, okay, and you can see this 24 frames per second sequence footage. So this is set to 24 and hence this is 24. So if it was 30, then probably I'll tell you what happens. I'll just put it to 30. So I think by default it is 30, I guess. So if it's 30, and I'll re-import the image. I'll re-import the image, and it shows 30 frames per second, and I just cut this out and I'll just drop this in, and if you see, it matches for the first frame, but if you move, the screen slips. So this is probably, you would have faced it a lot of times, and you would have thought, no, the alignment of camera between Maya and After Effects is wrong, but probably your frame settings were wrong. So if you see, it's already gone for a toss. So I'll just delete this out and get the older one in. So that's the tip. So just make sure all the frames are right, frame sizes are right between Maya and After Effects. That's more important. So right now we have a perfect aligned screen with the Maya. So this was basics of how to export from Maya to After Effects and how to do it. So now let's get back to our original problem of how to export that with the Luma maps and contribution maps, etc., from Maya to After Effects. Hi, so now we are back in Maya with the actual model which we're going to work on. This is just a small billboard which I modeled up, very simple. So what I'm going to show you here is how to get the alpha out for rendering in Maya using Mental Ray, so that we can get the picture to be floating exactly on the board without these obstructions. So if you just take a quick render of this, it looks like this. Okay, it's gonna render again. Okay, so this is what you're gonna get the render, and if you hit this button, you can see the alpha, and if you just notice, the alpha is just around the borders and not on the actual objects obstructing the board. So what we need is an alpha of only the board and without all these lights, information, etc. So to do that, we need to do something called as contribution mapping. But before that, just let me show you something about rendering in Maya using Mental Ray, which is pretty important. So this is the render settings of Maya, and if you can click on, okay, you have to select first Mental Ray here. See, click on Mental Ray. Otherwise you don't get the second tab called as passes. To show you that, software, you don't see that Mental Ray, you see this passes thing. So you click on this passes. This is where you actually render out all the 3D passes from Maya. So to do that, first we need to add a pass which we need. So first click on this button here, and most of the time, right, this will be blocked like this. I don't know, for some strange reason, and you can just expand this. You'll be able to see this button. So click on this button first, and you can see all these passes what you have. To explain all what this passes does, it's probably pretty lengthy procedure, and I think you have an excellent tutorial on cmivfx.com, so I think you can refer that. So at this moment we are just going to take the beauty pass here and we're gonna take this pass called as mat. This is the alpha mat pass which we will get. So what you have to do is just click on these two and just say create and close. So now you got these two passes here, and unless this list moves to this list, Maya will not render. So for do that, just click on this button and you got it here. So now if you hit render and see, you basically get the beauty pass, which is actually the rendered final output, and the mat pass. So if this mat pass, if you see, it'll basically look like this, which is not what we want. So we want the obstructed alpha information also. So we close this, and if you see below, you see something called as pass contribution map. Let me explain you how it works. Close this, and so since we want the alpha information for this board, so you click on this board. So it's basically an object. It's basically a rectangle which I just cut it out. So you click on this and press Ctrl A and go to the attribute editor, and you see the settings below. So display, render, and animals. Click on the render, and if you click on render, you have one master layer which actually renders out all the elements in the scene. So but we want to create a separate render layer and a contribution map only for this board. So that's why I clicked on this board, and I come here in master layout. I just right click and I come down to pass contribution maps, and I click on create pass contribution map and add selected. I click on it, and you can see an arrow here. If we expand, it says pass contribution map. So I right now created a contribution map for this board only. So right now if I go to my render settings again, and if you see right now, so we want the contribution map only for the mat. So I clicked on this mat, and here select pass contribution map. I click on it and I click on pass contribution map. If you see, it's here, pass contribution map, which we just created. So I select that. So what I'm asking Maya to do is render out me a mat for this object using pass contribution map, so that I can get the alpha, obstructed alpha. And I hit this button again and it comes here. So this mat I will get. So now I go back to common. I just set the settings like earlier. So I'm just using one frame right now to just render out to see what happens. So I'll say close, and I go to render and hit batch render. Okay, now we have rendered it out. We have rendered these beauty passes and the mat passes. If you go to the common, I have fixed up a directory like second and screen, and you can see the path here. So if you can just go to that path, and under images you'll see one beauty pass, under that one second directory which we created, and the mat and the second. And there's this another folder called master beauty. That will be the master beauty pass which just gets generated by default. So if I click on second and just double click on it, you can see this is the actual beauty pass what we have. And if you look at the mat, click on second, and that's it. Now we got the mat of that board with these alpha information, so that we can use this Luma mat for in After Effects. So let me explain you how. So we are back to After Effects, and this is the first render which we have, and this is the Luma mat which we have. So using these, I'm gonna put an image on this board with this mat. So I'll show you how. So I go to screen 1, and basically I have our it's new composition. Basically I have our render what we got here, and I've just put an image over it just like that. Actually I've used a corner pin right now just to tuck it in the corners, and clearly the problem is evident that this image is not behind these lights, and that is the reason we rendered it out, the Luma mat. So now we take that Luma mat and put on top of this. It covers, so press F4, and for the second layer just select track as Luma mat. Here we go. So now we can see that image is behind these lights falling exactly on the board. So this Luma mat actually helped us out to put this back, and it was actually created using that contribution map probably the step what we explained. So now we'll repeat this for the board behind, and we will render out entire sequence, and then we'll see how we can export it into After Effects again. So okay, now since we know how to create the contribution map for one of the board, let's try to create for all the other board behind. So I'll just kind of repeat the steps again. Just click on this board first. You come to this layer in render settings, just click on right click, pass contribution map, say create pass contribution map and add selected, creates one. So I'll just double click, rename it as screen 1. I got this, and then click on this board, right click, go to pass contribution maps, click on create pass contribution maps. It creates, I'll say screen 2. Done. So we have created contribution maps for these two. Remember, we create contribution maps to get the alpha rendered out separately for these objects in Maya. So then we go to render settings, go to, I'll just remove this, so let it be like screen, and it has so we can actually delete it, and right click here and say insert, say pass name, render pass type, and whatever. So I'll just put render pass name slash screens target sequence, and it's frame 3 and 1 to 60, and use the camera, not the perspective camera but the render camera, and the size SD 720. Everything is done. So we go to passes. So we need to add the passes what we want. So I just click on this button. So I'm not going to click on the beauty pass because anyway it automatically comes as master beauty, so you don't have to add it. So I need to add the matte pass, and for the first screen I'm just calling it as screen 1 matte. Create and close, it creates that, and I add one more for the next one, so I'll call it as screen 2 matte. So we're gonna generate two passes, basically two mattes for these two screens. So I select both, add to the associate passes. So now if I render out, I'll get the mattes, but actually we need to associate each matte with the contribution map so that the isolated Luma matte is generated. So I click on screen 1 matte first, and click on here, and I select screen 1 pass contribution map, which we created here for the first board. Click on it and click this button, it's associated with it, that's fine. Then click on the next one, next pass, and select that contribution map, screen 2 pass contribution map, and say add. Done. So now we have these two already associated with this, and path is set, close, we are ready to go, and just hit render. I'll just be back once this comes in. Okay, now we are back to After Effects. Now we'll import the Maya saved file, which is in the scenes directory, new project scenes. Just click on billboard, say open. We have this billboard here, 1280 and 720 square pixels, 2 seconds, 2.12 seconds, 24 frames. We double click on it, and this is the composition which After Effects creates, and you can see both our nulls are there very happily, and they are rotating exactly in the camera angle. So it's there, shape 1 and shape 2. Like last time, I'll press U and take out the keyframe information. We don't need it. Actually these keyframes came because in the baking I had selected these null objects, so we got it. So now it looks fine. So now we'll import the renders, go to images, master beauty, select the output from what we had from Maya, and say open, say okay here, and we got it. We'll take it and put it here below. Okay, there we have it. If you just notice, the angle is a little different from what I showed you earlier in Maya, so I just re-rendered and got a different animation, just changed the camera, that's all. So this is the animation we have. So we need to first make sure that our nulls are aligned properly. So the first null is here. You can see this is going to be the null for this frame, and this null is here. This is going to be the null for the back frame. You can see it here. You can see the perspective changing, etc. Cool. So if you look at this this null, you can see the Z is pointing to inside. So this was done like that because in Maya So in Maya I should have rotated back to the Z space, which I didn't, so which is easily done here in After Effects. I just have to click on R and rotation 180 degrees. I got it back. So just wanted to show you this. I made that mistake in Maya so that you can see how it is done in After Effects. So now it's pointing towards us, which is perfect, and I can just scale it down like so. Just yep, that's it. Now I can go back to the other screen, other null, click here, scale it down, set it up. Cool, that's it, done. So if we can just scrub it through, you can see that the nulls are sitting perfectly on that. Now our job is just to put the images here. So I just picked up some 2 images from flickr.com. That's here, back. I just picked up these 2 images and just cut out the sequence. Okay, so this is courtesy username Wonderlane from Flickr. So I'll just pick the first image and put it here just before null 1. This is for null 1, and I'll make it a 3D layer. And it's gone because the camera is different. It's here. So first thing what we need to do is press P on the first null shape, copy the position, and press P on this image and press paste. So now we got the picture aligned with the null screen, and we have it here, and you can just do a scale to get it back. So once I scale, you can see something here. So the anchor point for this image is actually on the center, right, on the center, whereas for the null object it's actually on the 0, 0 origin. So it will be worthwhile to make the anchor point of this image to 0, 0 so that we can easily position it according to the null frame. So please don't forget it. Just press A on null and see the anchor point is A 0, 0, 0. Just press A on this, and it's actually some other value, so we just change it to 0. So we change it to 0 and exactly maps it, and we just need to rotate it once 180 degrees so that it fits right. That's it. Now we have got it here. Now I can easily position it wherever I want, exactly sitting on the frame. Cool, I think it fits right. Great. So now I'll just repeat that for the next null. So just pick up the next frame, next photograph, just put it here. So I'll copy the position of that thing, not null, and paste it here, make it a 3D. Sorry, paste it here, press S, get the scale down, and just check out the anchor point at 0. I press A again here and make it 0. That's it, and I can kind of position it exactly where I want. Okay, that's done. So you can see the images are exactly sitting here. So now there's a huge problem here. So if you can see, the photograph is in actually front of these floodlights, so we need to get it back. So we don't need to worry because we already have the Luma mats for that, which we'll import here right now, which was we rendered it out in Maya. So that'll be the first. Go to images directory and click on screen 1 mat, click this mat, target sequence, get it in, fine, click again, get the other mat, screen 2, select one, target sequence, fine. Okay, we have two. So the first one we take, just put it right in front above the first image here, which is this, and press F4 and just say Luma mat for the first frame and low. You can see it's standing perfectly fine. We can see the reflection of the early one. We'll fix that right in a moment. So now get the next Luma mat, put it above the first frame, let's say Luma mat. That's it, done. So if you can see right now, the image has gone behind the floodlights. It's perfect, and we can come here and see same here. That's cool. That's how it works. So now we'll just change the blending mode of this image to say multiply, and this one to multiply. So multiply looks good, or what? See overlay, whichever. I think overlay looks brighter. Add is worse. Screen is bad. Okay, multiply for now because of the color what we have in this render. So I think multiply looks okay. So there we go. So we have the image rendered out from Maya, and we have replaced the board with After Effects and all these images here. So just do a quick ramp preview. Cool. So there was just the small animation which we got from Maya. The animation is totally 360 degrees. Just wanted to do that so that you could actually see the obstructing objects getting out and the images coming in. So but if you notice here, we have a small problem. So once this comes here, the image is visible behind that. So what we can do is, just before this, we can just click here, get the opacity, mark it to 100, press page down, go to the next frame, make it 0. That's it, gone. So now you carry forward, come front, just before it comes up here, you can set another keyframe, press page down and set it to 100. So that will solve the problem of that visibility here. So the same we need to do for the other image. So it starts off at 0. Opacity, we'll cut it down to 0. Just come here, just before it comes in, right here, set a keyframe, page down, set it to 100. So that comes back. I think it's fine. Yep. So again, we set it here before it disappears. Right here. Yep. Right here. Set opacity, page down, set it to 0. That's it. I think we are good to go now. So this is how a small workflow between Maya and After Effects, and I'll just do a ramp preview. I'll press Shift 0 so that it skips one frame and we get a faster ramp preview, and you can see it's already done. Perfectly fine. Now since you have this null information and this camera, you can do any kind of animation in this setup, which I'll just show you in a moment what I've done with this technique, and so that you can find it useful for doing anything you want. Hi, so here is what I finally made using the technique what I explained. So it is just the same billboard, but rendered out using Mental Ray with some other materials, etc. So I have taken the same steps, and actually if you can see, these are the same screens with the billboard, with the loom mat, and added some particulars and some floodlights behind. If you can see this white things, that's using cell pattern, and some ceiling comp, which is this fractal noise behind, and some flares using null factory. So I just gotten this from Cinema 4D. So it's now in 3D. So this is one screen, and this is another one, and this is another one. So these are the three different screens which I made to put it in this billboard. So finally you can see how it's coming out here. So thank you for watching this tutorial. This was I know it was a long tutorial, but I hope I got to cover whatever I want to do, and you are now comfortable doing any Maya exports to After Effects and make some cool graphics. So thanks once again. This is Hafiz here for etuts.com. Thank you. Bye bye.